Hey guys, good evening. Thanks for checking out the IRONMAN Coeur course info, tips and tricks, and Q&A. Thanks for everyone who has submitted questions over the last several days. I'm going to get to as many of those as I can with the time allotted at the end. If you have a question, you can submit it via that GoToWebinar widget that is there on your screen. There is a questions tab. That is where I will be checking out questions. And if I do not get to your question, either that you have submitted or advanced or you submit during our time here tonight, I will follow up with you individually via email in the next couple of days. So feel free to ask those questions. And again, if I don't get to it this evening, I will follow up with you later this week. My name is John Mayfield. I am a full time triathlon coach. I am certified by USA Triathlon at level 2, as well as Ironman U. And I've had the privilege of coaching hundreds of athletes from first timers to professionals and everyone in between. I work exclusively with long course athletes, so those that are racing 70.3 and Ironman distance races. And that is really my passion, is those that are racing those long course races, everything about it, figuring out the puzzle that is long course racing. And I've had the privilege of 10 Ironman finishes myself, and really enjoy working with athletes taking on this challenge. So my hope for this evening is that I can share my experience both as an athlete and a coach to help increase your confidence and reduce your stress headed into race day, so that you can produce your best results and enjoy this amazing experience to the fullest. So, a couple things to take care of before the race. Coeur d'Alene, if you've never been, is an amazing little gem of a town. It is a really unique, really great venue for Ironman, and you're really going to enjoy the opportunity to see this little gem up there, way up north. So, it is critical that you stay hydrated. So, this starts with the days leading into the race and really becomes critical during the race. We're going to talk some more about that coming up. But again, it starts with those days leading into the race. So, my recommendation is to always have a water bottle with you, preferably with some electrolytes or electrolyte tab. My preference, what I go to, is vitamin water. And I'm going to come back to that here in just a couple of minutes. Be sure to limit the time on your feet. So you're going to be using your legs a whole lot in the on race day. So make sure that you're not overdoing it in those days leading into the race. So several things to take care of. Getting in those last minute taper workouts, those are important, so make sure to do those. But then you're going to have to go down, check in, walk around the Ironman village, drop off your bike and your gear bags the day before the race. So a lot of things to do, but just make sure that you're pairing all of that time on your feet with recovery. So stay up with your foam rolling, your compression socks, compression boots, those kinds of things. Make sure that you're staying up with those recovery modalities. So things like going out and playing this amazing golf course that is kind of right around the corner from the swim venue. Maybe save those for after the race. So yeah, a round of golf here at the Coeur d'Alene golf course is a great way to have some active recovery, but save that for after the race. Check out the course. So you don't want any surprises on race day. The more you know about the course, you know what you're in store for, the better off you're going to be. So the swim course is largely open and safe to go swim. Go and see exactly what the water temperature feels like, the water clarity, any chop on top of the water. Go and see exactly what you're in store for on race day. So great opportunity. A lot of Ironman races don't provide this opportunity to go and experience the swim venue, but this you will have the opportunity to go and swim. There is a great little beach kind of right around the corner from the actual course that is well marked. It's kind of just down from this floating green at the golf course. You can actually almost swim up to this floating green from that little beach tucked around the corner. Also been some pretty high profile pro sightings around there. So check that out. I forget the name of that beach right off the top of my head, but it's if you're on the run course, it follows that right around. So if you follow the run course out of the park, and then where the run course comes back and kind of intersects with the lake, you'll make a kind of a turn there. That's right where that beach is. So maybe head down there and get in a practice swim right there. Then move on to the bike course. Good news is it's a two loop course, so you don't have to actually drive the full 112 miles, but go out there and actually see what it is that you're in store for. It is a technical course. There are legit climbs, legit descents. But that means a little bit something different to everyone. So go actually put eyes on it. Go take note of the road conditions. The aid stations are typically marked in brightly colored duct tape several days prior to the race. So go see where those aid stations are. Go see how they correspond with the flats, with the climbs, with the descents. You would think that they would put the aid stations right there on a nice long flat set stretch, but that's not always the case. I've seen aid stations in the middle of a climb. I've seen them right at a 90-degree turn after a descent. So just go and see where those are, see where the climbs are, how steep, how long. We're going to be talking more about those. But again, I think it's important to actually see exactly what you're in store for on race day, and then recommend either driving, but probably more fun and even better would be to go and ride the run course. So it's about 8.5 miles, something like that. You can ride your bike on the entire stretch. Part of it is road, part of it is path. But go and again and see exactly what you're in store for. Where's the shade? Where's the sun? Where are the hills? And again, just get a good feel for exactly what you're gonna experience on race day. And be sure to read the athlete guide. So a lot of good information in there. Sometimes it's just one or two nuggets that is specific to a venue or a race. So even if you're an experienced Ironman racer, it's still a good idea to check out the athlete guide. All right, on to the race. Transition will open on race morning at 4:30, bright and early. There is street parking available. That is free. Just make sure that you're not parking anywhere where signs say not to park. So the last thing you want after racing 140.6 miles is to come out and find either your car has been ticketed or towed. If street parking is not available, there are some paid lots around in the area. The water temperature will be announced both on race morning. That'll be the official race temperature, but generally you will be updated in the days leading into the race. It's generally posted in the Ironman Village, usually on a table right where you go to check in. It'll have that current day's water temperature. Right now, it is being reported at around 70 degrees, which is a little bit warm. Usually, this race is somewhere in the mid 60s. So currently it's 70 degrees with a couple days to go before race day. Wouldn't really anticipate that temperature going up, certainly not by much. So it is still very likely going to be a wetsuit legal race. Wetsuit legal is up to and including 76.1 degrees. So there would have to be some pretty significant warming going on to go from the current, give or take 70 degrees to 76.1, or actually 76.2 is actually what would knock that over to wetsuit option. All right, so on to this amazing, beautiful, great swim course. It is a two loop course. The race starts at 6:30, so plenty of time to get down there, get everything set up, and head down there to the start. It is a self-seated rolling start, so what that means is you will line up according to your expected swim time, and then once the race actually starts, you will file in. Typically, it's somewhere between 3 and 5 athletes every 2 to 3 seconds to provide a little bit of time in between, just so that there's not a ton of congestion out there on the course, or at least tries to minimize or manage that congestion. Still plenty of folks in a relatively tight space, but it's better than the old days of the mass start where you had 3,000 folks lined up there on the beach all entering in at once. As mentioned, it is a beach entrance, so kind of you can take your own time, go in at your own pace. Some folks are going to be out there sprinting and then diving right in. Others will kind of take their time entering in. So whatever is going to work for you. Couple tips for the swim start: get queued early. So generally, the way these queues work is they'll have the barricade set up, and if you wait to the last minute, it can be very difficult to work your way up to where you want to be. Also, can be kind of agitating. Get a bunch of people kind of working through. So kind of courteous, and it's going to work you a little bit better if you head down there early and get in that spot. that is your actual realistic swim time. So that's kind of the next tip is don't queue slower than expected. This is fairly common. Either you get down there late and you can't get all the way up to your expected swim time. Maybe you're a little apprehensive. Maybe you're wanting to start back with a training partner or a buddy that's a little bit slower swimmer. Go ahead and get up to your expected swim time. That is going to minimize the amount of contact, the amount of folks that you're going to be swimming over, the amount of folks swimming over you. So don't queue slower than expected. Try to get up there where you are actually expected to swim. Now, again, we're expecting a water temperature, give or take, somewhere around 70 degrees. So not real cold, but it may be cold for some. So something that you can do to help offset some of that cold water is to prime your wetsuit. Now, you probably think I'm referring to peeing in it, and sure, that works, but that's only going to work on the waist down. So to prime your wetsuit, bring a water bottle with just some lukewarm, warm, room temperature water, and pour that down your suit prior to getting in the water. So it is a wetsuit; it is not a dry suit. So the way these suits work is by warming that water between your body and that layer of neoprene. So if you're getting in there and the water that is filling that suit is 70 degrees, your body is going to have to warm that water before it begins to work. So if you are concerned about the water being cool, you can prime the suit with warmer water, and then you're going to be good. So this is maybe just a tip to put in the back pocket of that wetsuit next time you have a really cold swim. This is definitely a strategy to use. So if I would say this is more like with the water temperature, we're in the mid to lower 60s. So like I did this when I raced Alcatraz in that very cold San Francisco Bay, but I was fine. So great tip there that it can really help with those cold water swims. And then don't panic. Obviously, easier said than done. No one wants to panic. No one thinks they're going to panic, or maybe they do. But do what you have to do to kind of gain your composure and get back into the swim. A great thing about this beach start is you can go in at whatever pace is comfortable for you. So, as mentioned, the folks at the front are very likely going to sprint across the beach and then dive into the water very quickly. That doesn't mean you have to do that. You can wade in at your own pace, whatever is comfortable for you. A great idea is to splash some of that water over your face. That is often what triggers that fight or flight response that can lead to a panic attack, is that cold water hitting the face. So just very easily splash some of that water over your face just to get a good feel for what you're going to experience, and just remind yourself that you're okay. So once you start to swim, just settle into your stroke. You can get in some sink downs, which again, this beach entry is going to be great for that. A sink down is just going underwater, exhaling out the air, and then resurfacing and just reminding yourself that there's plenty of oxygen right above that surface of the water. So just do what you need to do to get off to a good start. Sometimes spending just a minute or two there at the start can really pay dividends later on when you actually are able to swim the entire course, as opposed to having dealing with some of those issues. So the course itself is quite simple. It is, as mentioned, it is a two-loop course. You will start by heading out to that first red turn buoy, then making a short turn again, and then heading back to shore. Once you hit the shore, there will be a very short run along the beach, and then you will angle back out and do a second loop. So it is somewhat protected water. So it is a very large lake, but this section where the swim is largely protected. You can see there's shoreline on two sides there. Really good water quality. So we're not messing with any kind of waves, swells, currents, anything like that. There may be a little bit of chop on top of the water depending on how windy the morning is, but generally pretty good water conditions. And the water itself is gorgeous. It looks like you could bottle it up and sell it as drinking water. So great water quality. And always remember, the sunrise is to the east, just as always. So, a couple of tips for the swim course. Consider that sunrise when choosing your goggles. So, regardless of which way you breathe, left, right, bilateral, because this is an out and back course, you're going to be doing it twice. At some point, you will be breathing there into the sunrise. Just depends on when and how often, depending on how you breathe. But make sure that you are choosing goggles that are going to allow you to see and not be too affected by that early morning sun. So maybe when you go down there for your practice swim, just be cognizant of where that sunrise is, how high is the sun in relation to what time it is. So keep in mind the first swimmer is going to be headed into the water around 6:30. From there, it'll probably take, give or take, 45 minutes to get everyone in. So if you are back closer to that 2 hour or 2 hour plus mark, it may be more like 7:15 before you're entering the water, and then 9:15 when you're exiting the water, depending again on how long it's going to take. So just keep in mind that when selecting your goggles. Break the course into segments. So this is something I'm going to talk about for the rest of our time here this evening. Is we have this great big elephant to eat, and how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So first, we're just going to approach the swim course, but even then, we're going to break it down into segments. So this is something I really like about loop courses like this. So we have two loops on the swim. So the first thing we're going to do is just approach the first loop. But even then, what I want to do is just make it to that first turn buoy. So it's about half a mile or so out to that first turn buoy. So half a mile. We've done lots of swim training. Hopefully, lots of open water swim. A half-mile swim is no problem. You're going to be entering the water with the excitement, the adrenaline, all that. So you're going to be at that first turn buoy before you know it. From there, it's a very short jump over to that second turn buoy, and then you're going to be headed back to shore. So again, I'm just going to approach this one turn buoy at a time. So make it out to the first turn buoy. Second turn buoy is going to be coming up very quickly. Then I'm going to be headed back to shore. I've done one loop. I can do it again. So good excitement there. Um, Head back out, and then same thing. I'm going to make it to the far turn buoy. Then I just have that short segment, and then I'm headed back to the beach, and the swim is almost over. Um, Sight often. So the best way to have a long swim is to swim extra yardage. The best way to swim extra yardage is to not sight frequently enough. So minimize your swim time, minimize your distance, and maximize your sighting or optimize your sighting. So make sure that you are sighting frequently. And then keep swimming until you touch the beach. As this is a two loop course where you'll actually come out of the water, both at the end of the swim, but also in the middle as you're starting your second loop, what you'll see is some folks will pop up and start walking or running when they are chest deep, maybe waist deep. It's going to be very difficult to move through that water. It's very inefficient to try to walk through deep water. You're going to be much more efficient and expend less energy and get out of the water quicker if you continue to swim. So this is kind of my rule of thumb for all swims, regardless of the exit type. Is I keep swimming until I touch whatever it is that's going to get me out of that water. So in this case, it's the beach that's going to get me out. So I'm going to keep swimming until my fingertips touch the sand there. So once you are touching the sand, your swim is done. Go ahead and pop up and pop out of the water so far as that goes. But even there's probably going to be a lot of people around you that are walking, running through the water. Don't be tempted to do that. Yeah, I know you've swam enough. You're ready for a break, but just a couple more strokes, and you're actually going to save some energy and save some time by doing that. And then really enjoy the swim. This is a special one. It's really a good swim venue, great water, almost ideal conditions. So really enjoy this and take in this awesome swim. From there, we're going to head into transition. So as you head in, you'll be dropping off your bike gear bags and your run gear bags the day before, along with your bike. So you'll know exactly where those are going to be. So you'll head in, grab your bike gear bag, head into the change tent, transition as needed in that change tent, and then you'll repack that bag with your swim gear. So your goggles, your swim cap, your wetsuit, all that you will shove back into that bike gear bag, and then proceed out to your bike. So, a couple tips for transition is to know your locations, both where is that bag that you're going to drop the day before. I recommend doing something to this bag to make it identifiable to make this a little bit more simple. So, there's going to be a 3,000 bags that look exactly the same. The only thing that is going to differentiate your bag from these thousands of others that look exactly like it is a sticker that is going to go on there. That sticker is going to be sitting on your bag overnight, outdoors. So things can happen. So I recommend using a Sharpie and writing your number all over that bag. Just in case that sticker falls off, they'll still know whose bag that is. And then my next tip is to use strips of duct tape and just tear off. Um, Not just regular duct tape. That would work, but what works better is some brightly colored duct tape. You can get this at Walgreens, Walmart, anything like that. And just tear off, about 12 inches strips and just paste those all over that bag. So it's going to be real obvious as you're running up in these lines of bags which one is yours. So know where it is. Do something to make it identifiable. Pack minimally, so that bag isn't real big that all your gear is going to have to go in. For your bike gear bag, you're going to have to pack a helmet in there simply because you have to have a bike helmet, and that helmet cannot go on your bike at the bike racks. From there, you'll probably have cycling shoes, who knows what else, whatever it is that you have, but just be efficient and pack minimally in there. So don't pack anything that you don't want, don't need. And then practice in advance. Know exactly what those things are that you're going to be packing in those gear bags, and then practice in advance. Be efficient in both your packing as well as those motions as you're going to do. Keep them to a minimum, be efficient, and that's going to ensure that nothing is forgotten, nothing is left off. And then consider a go bottle. So, this was a great tip that was given to me a while back by my friends at Precision Fuel and Hydration. I mentioned before that in the days leading into the race, I drink vitamin water. So, I will save a couple of those vitamin water bottles and use them as these go bottles. So I have one for T1, one for T2. That go bottle is for me in T1. 6 to 8 ounces of water. It's a serving of electrolytes. It's a serving of my nutrition. And what I like about those vitamin water bottles is they have a nice big mouth on them. So I can chug that 6 to 8 ounces of water very quickly and not spend a bunch of time make a mess with that. So coming out of the water on the swim, I've been out there for a little over an hour. Some folks, it's more like 2 hours or up to 2 hours and 20 minutes that we probably haven't taken in any nutrition, hopefully not too much hydration. But we've talked already about how critical it is to stay up on our hydration, our electrolytes, and our nutrition. But we've spent the last hour to 2 hours not taking in anything, but we've been losing hydration, we've been burning calories. So it's important to get a jump start on that. So that's what that Go bottle is all about, is just getting a jump start on that. And then once we get out onto the bike course, beginning to implement our protocols for nutrition and hydration. So speaking of, this is a great bike course. It is technical. It has some challenges, and man, it is beautiful. It's a really great bike course. So it is 2 loops, as mentioned. Generally good road conditions, but again, go out and see exactly what I mean when I say that. Go put eyes on it. You may think the roads are horrible. You may think the roads are great. We kind of all have a different definition of that. So be sure to go check it out. It is rolling. There are very few to no true flat sections of this course with several climbs. So the first 2 climbs are on the first out and back stretch. So there's kind of 2 out and backs so far as this goes. So you'll come out of transition. You'll head a little over 5 miles out to the east along the lake U-turn and head back. It's about 7.5 miles out, 7.5 miles back. So you're back at the transition area around mile 15. And then you've got approximately a 20-mile out and back, starting at mile 15 down to mile 35. And then back to transition, and then of course you do all that again in your second loop. So there is one hill, one significant hill on that first out and back stretch. So as it is an out and back, you will go up one side and go down the back, and then you'll U-turn not too long after that, and then you'll go back up and then come down. So you can see that represented there, just shy of that mile 5, just after the mile 10 mark. You can see that on the elevation chart there down at the bottom, where there's those first two white bicycles that are headed uphill. That is that climb. So those climbs are each about 1.5 miles. On the way out, it is averaging 2.1% grade, And then on the way back, it is a 2.3% average grade for that mile and a half stretch. So again, mile and a half of climbing, pretty significant distance at a pretty significant incline. So if you're used to riding hills, maybe even if you're using Zwift or something like that, where you see those elevations, once you get over 1 to 2%, that is where you're really going to see a decline in your speed, and you're really going to feel that increased output required to climb those hills. So then once you pass the transition area, you're going to head down there to kind of the southwest, and then encounter the steepest hill. So it is around mile 20 on that first loop, and it is 2 miles at an average of 4%. So almost twice the incline of the hills that were experienced on that first stretch. 2 miles at 4% is pretty significant. That's the one you kind of see there in the middle of the elevation chart, where it looks like that cyclist is headed straight uphill. Again, it's a pretty legit climb. Actually, make sure you're going and seeing what this climb is. It's going to take some effort to get up. Then there is pretty soon after that another climb. That climb is 3.5 miles at an average grade of 2.2%. Longer, and quite steep as well. And then the last one is the longest. So it is a 4 mile climb at an average grade of 2.7%. So good news, bad news. What goes up comes down. So we're actually just talking about all of the climbs here, but know that as you're climbing these hills, it is a net zero. Where you start is where you end. So everything you go up, you will eventually come back down. We're just talking about that. The first out and back, that first 15 miles, is relatively flat. It is the flattest section of the course, but as mentioned, there is that one significant hill there that has to be traversed. Other than that, that is the flattest section of the course. Once you come back to transition and then head down to the southwest, that 20 miles out and back is quite hilly, quite rolling, and it is a net climb out. So you will hit the highest elevation near that U-turn, and then it is a net downhill back to the transition area. So still plenty of climbing even as you come back, but the net is downhill. So keep that in mind as you are pacing. All right, couple tips for the bike course. Be familiar with the course. Already talked about this. Go see it. See what these climbs look like. See how steep they are. See how long they are. Have the proper gearing. Most courses, I don't necessarily give this tip. Most courses, you can get away with pretty much whatever gearing you have on your bike, and you're going to be just fine. Uh, Most people will probably be okay, but if you're not sure, I would suggest confirming it. It's hard to say exactly what rings you need, what cassette you need. It's really going to vary based athlete to athlete, based on your performance level, your fitness, your weight, all those kinds of things. So my suggestion here would be to speak to maybe a training partner that is highly knowledgeable. A coach or your local bike shop may be a great resource. Not only they can advise you on what you need, but they can also sell it and install it for you as well. So I would say make sure you're not going out here on this course with inadequate gearing, because you have that 4 mile climb. You don't want to get 2 miles up and then be running out of gears. That's going to be a lot of work to get you to the top of that hill. So make sure that you have the proper gearing. Make sure you're staying ahead of hydration and nutrition. We've already talked about this. We're going to continue to do so. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see athletes make when racing Ironman, especially in these races where we're planning on cooler temperatures. Everyone planned on relatively cool temperatures in 2021. It ended up being 105 on the day. So make sure that regardless of what the temperature is, you are still staying up on hydration and nutrition. Again, hopefully race day is somewhere in that mid to upper 70s, where it has been historically, except for 21. And just know that even at that temperature, you're still going to be losing a significant amount of hydration, electrolytes, and burning calories. So make sure that you're staying up on that. Again, very common mistake is athletes not getting in enough hydration, enough electrolytes, and enough nutrition. Make sure that you're fueling strategically. So, again, it is critical to be sure that you're getting in the proper ounces of water, proper milligrams of electrolytes, proper calories of your nutrition on an hourly basis. And it's not necessarily broken down per hour, but whatever your protocol is, make sure you're staying up on that. But also keep in mind the way this course is laid out, you may or may not be able to easily execute that protocol based on the climbs, the descents, the technical parts of the course. So this is another reason to go out and drive the course, see what you're in store for, and adjust your protocol accordingly. Because it may be time for you to eat a gel or something like that, but you may be in the middle of a 4 mile climb, and it's not safe to do that. So make sure that you are taking advantage of those opportunities when you have them to do so, and stay safe. Be prepared for the climbs. A lot of this has to do with your recon prior to the race, being in the right gear at the right time, getting momentum up to start those climbs, and then recover on the descents. So you've got an incredible amount of fitness going into this race. Your heart rate is still going to be high as you're climbing these hills. Your legs are going to be a little tired from that extra power having to be put out. So take advantage of that on these descents. Get up to speed, but there's a certain point where you're really better off just taking advantage of gravity helping you out. So allow that heart rate to come down, spin out the legs a little bit, and basically get ready to take on the next one. Stay to your right and communicate. So, especially on these courses that are more technical and more challenging, you're going to have a lot of speeds out there. Conceivably, folks on their second loop can be lapping people on their first loop. So, if as long as you are riding, stay to the right. If you're going to pass someone, obviously you pass to the left, and ensure that you are making yourself known during those passes. So, giving those athletes the on the left call on your left, just to let them know that you're coming, especially if you're bombing down those downhills. Make sure that you're letting those folks know if you've got somebody coming up behind you, stay to the right. Be very, very safe on those. Enjoy the beauty, be the beast. This is a tough bike course, but man, it's beautiful. So take it in. It is a challenge. You will overcome it. Enjoy the beauty and be the beast. And then as you begin to approach T2, begin to prepare for the transition and the run. So think about your T2 protocol. What are those things that you're going to do? Where is your run gear bag? What are the things that you're going to be doing in the change tent? Those type of things. And then begin to prepare for the run. So one thing you can do to prepare for the run is match your run cadence on the bike. So most runners have a run cadence somewhere around 90 steps per minute per foot. So you can begin to physiologically prepare for that by spinning out at whatever cadence that is. So if you're a 90 step per minute runner, match that with your bike cadence. So spin at a 90 RPM cadence. And then once you begin to run, your body's already going to know what that feels like. It'll naturally fall into that cadence. Another tip I have is as often as I talk about staying up on your nutrition and your hydration, I don't take in anything in the last 20 minutes. So what I want to avoid is my stomach being full, sloshing around in transition and the start of the run. So what I will do in those last 20 minutes is ensure prior to that I have everything topped off. Is say maybe 30 minutes out, I'm going to do that last check. Where's my hydration? Where's my nutrition? Is there anything that I need to get in? If so, I'm going to go ahead and get it in 30 minutes out and allow my stomach to settle in those final miles as I'm coming into transition. So if I'm feeling thirsty, I may just get a quick rinse out, maybe a little bit of water, but really trying to allow my stomach to empty so I can start off fresh on the run course. All right, headed into that second transition, you will grab your run gear bag, transition in the change tent as needed. You will repack your run gear bag with anything that is not going out there on that marathon course with you, so your helmet, anything like that, and you'll proceed out to the run course. So, these tips for T2 are very much like the tips for T1. Know your bag location. So, know where it is. It can be quite time consuming if you get lost, go down the wrong aisle. Again, hopefully you've got your bag marked with that brightly colored duct tape, just so that it stands out. It's very easy to go through and grab. You want to be efficient here as well. Pack minimally, not having anything in there that you don't necessarily need. Practice in advance so that you can move through that transition very quickly. And then also consider a go bottle for T2. The only difference for T2 than T1 is, again, T1, I usually do about 6 to 8 ounces of water. My T2 go bottle is more like 12 ounces of water. And that is simply because I have the option to take that go bottle with me. Kind of depending on how I'm feeling, how my stomach is feeling, I may just go ahead and chug all of that water in T2. Again, I'm cognizant of how my stomach is feeling. Hopefully, the fact that I haven't taken anything in the last 20 minutes, my stomach is able to handle that without getting bloated or sloshing. But again, what I'm looking to do here is just get my hydration, nutrition, electrolytes a little bit of a head start as I'm heading out onto that. Now, great thing about that go bottle is it can really be a go bottle for the run. Sometimes if I'm not ready to chug it, or if I'm not ready to take all of it, I will just take that bottle with me and I will nurse it over the first quarter mile, half mile, 2 miles, however long it takes me to get that down. But I want to go ahead and get all of that concentrated electrolytes and nutrition, as well as some hydration in my system and get things going as I head out onto the run course. This is a great run course. Again, you're in for a treat. Really going to enjoy this run course. So it is a 3 loop course. So 2 loop swim, 2 loop bike, 3 loop run course. Make sure you do all three. Mostly along paths. So there's a stretch of road. You go through the park, back on the roads, back on the path. Really, it's a great layout. You've got a couple different almost neighborhoods that you could refer to, different areas you'll be running through, kind of keep you mentally engaged, keep you occupied. There is some shade out there, but a lot of this course is exposed to the sun. So, especially in conditions like there were last time we had Ironman Coeur d'Alene, where it was 105. Not only was it 105 degrees, it was 105 with full sun. So it was roasting that day. The course is rolling. There, as you can see from that elevation chart, there is really no true flat areas to the course. There are a few areas that are flatter than others, but it generally rolls. Now, I will say it's not so much like the bike where you have steep, extended climbs, but generally there's some amount of undulation to the road without just a ton of climbs out there. So I mentioned earlier a place to get in the practice swim. Over here, this is the transition. Obviously, where it says start, this is where the run start is. The swim is going to be a rectangle right here. Where I was mentioning to get in your practice swim is on the other side of this little peninsula, kind of right over here where you see these boats. As I mentioned, it's right where the run course comes down and then goes along the lake. Right in here, there's a little public beach. You can park along this street. There's some beautiful homes there that are great to check out. Obviously, we want to respect the local residents that are living here, but again, there is street parking available on here, and a little beach right kind of tucked right here that is great. And then you can swim out kind of parallel to the shore here. Back and forth. There are some buoys. This is a no wake zone. These are mostly houseboats over here, so it's not like this is a marina full with ski boats or anything zipping in and out. And then the island green that I showed in that first picture, that's right here. So you can kind of see that, and I believe I've swam out as far as this pier here. So just a great opportunity to kind of swim back and forth from that little park right there. All right, couple tips for the run course. Now, this is one of the reason I really like looped courses is it really helps with pacing. So my suggestion is to build each loop. So that can be hard considering these loops are longer than 8 miles each. Obviously, this is a marathon, but proper pacing can help you really produce good results. What we see oftentimes are athletes that are feeling really good out of transition. They had a great bike split and they go out too hard on the run. They end up blowing up, end up getting behind on nutrition, hydration, electrolytes, cooling. And that's what becomes the Ironman shuffle. Lots of walking out on the course, especially when it's 105 degrees. So hopefully that is not going to be the case this year. And if you pace properly, you're going to be setting yourself up for success. And a great strategy to employ is building. So we've already talked about these segments. So you can really kind of break down, like I said, I called them neighborhoods. One of which is actually a neighborhood. So you'll start up here in the transition area, do a little bit kind of around the resort there, head through the park, and this is kind of around mile one is where you're headed actually into this neighborhood that's down by the beach where I just talked about. You'll head up and then head around the golf course. So basically, you can kind of treat that first segment. Then we're going around the golf course, a couple miles around there. Then you have this out and back along the lake. Beautiful views of the lake, but mostly exposed to the sun along here. So again, kind of depending on the day, there's going to be some conditions there, but again, break it down however you need. What I always say in a 3 loop course is your first loop should feel like it is a forced restraint. I would say this is anywhere from 15 to 30 seconds per mile slower than your goal pace. So what we're looking to do here is just ensure everything is going good, ensure that all the business is taken care of, and then once you run that first loop at that conservative pace, then you can begin to build. This is where you're really going to start to pick off people. Some of those folks that went out too hard, by now they're going to be running significantly slower. They're probably going to be walking. So now you're going to have the opportunity to run down those folks. And this is really where you're beginning to make up time. Nothing against walking in the race, especially when it's strategic and planned. What we want to avoid and want to minimize are those unscheduled walks, those walks that we have to take because either we're behind on nutrition, we're cramping, whatever the case may be. So we're looking to avoid that. So break the course down. That first out section, all the way to that first U-turn, very easy. Still pretty easy on our way back. So once you make it back to the park, this is where you'll U-turn. Your personal needs bags will be located there at the turn in the park. And as I said, finish that first loop, then you can begin to build. And then if you've done this right, that second loop should be done kind of at your natural race pace. And then for from there, loop 3, you go. Whatever you've got left in the tank, you've got 8 miles, so you still have to be strategic, still have to be smart. But again, if you've done this right, you're still going to be feeling good. You're still going to be able to be on that pace. So use each loop to build your pacing. I've said it before. I'm going to say it one more time. Stay hydrated. Regardless of the temperature, by now it's still going to be pretty warm. You're going to be sweating quite a bit on the run, whether it's 75 degrees or 105 degrees. You're still going to be sweating. You're still going to be losing that hydration, and you will have been losing hydration for a long time. You exited the water a long time. You took that last sip of prehydration several hours ago, and you've lost a lot of hydration, a lot of electrolytes, a lot of calories since then. So hear me on this. Make sure that you're staying up on your hydration, your nutrition, and your electrolytes. If you get behind on any one of those, you are really in for some trouble. It is also critical to stay cool. I would say this kind of partners right along with those. And over the last several years, this is something I've really found and really encouraged my athletes to get right. So it is critical that you maintain your core temperature. As your core temperature begins to rise, there is going to be a direct correlation in a decline in your performance. Your body is only going to allow that core temperature to get so high. When your core temperature gets too high, you risk damaging your body, and there is going to be limitations. So make sure that you are staying cool. This begins even on the swim, making sure that you're not overdressing, so to speak, in transition, heading out on the bike, making sure that you are maintaining that temperature on the bike, and then especially out there on the run. It's going to be in the warmest part of the day. You're going to be expending the highest amount of energy during the run. So naturally, that is going to be the hottest time, and that's really where you're going to know where how well you have done, or if you've made any mistakes. So any deficiency in hydration, nutrition, electrolytes, or your cooling protocols really going to manifest on the bike. So a lot of times Ironman is kind of notorious for folks out there walking on that course. Vast majority of them have the fitness to run that marathon, but they are very likely behind in one of those four things: the nutrition, hydration, electrolytes, or they're overheated. So stay ahead of those, manage those, and make sure that you are not out there doing that Ironman shuffle. Pack your personal needs strategically. So, kind of depending on the weather, kind of depending on how long you're going to be out there on the course, know what time of day it is, know what the weather is going to be like, and pack accordingly. This course will get dark. So, if you're going to be out there after sunset, I would definitely suggest a light of a headlamp or something like that. Also, the temperature will likely drop quite quickly after sunset. So, again, depending on what time you anticipate your finish, you may want to pack a long sleeve shirt, a jacket, something like that. But something to be aware of is your personal needs bags are not returned to you. So make sure not to pack anything in those bags that you can't live without, or make sure that you take it when you have the opportunity to do so. I always recommend taking something from every aid station. So you have paid a lot of money to be in this race. You might as well get your money's worth. So my nutrition strategy for Ironman racing is I take a gel at every other aid station. So that first aid station, I take a gel, and then every odd number thereafter. I take at least one, usually 2 cups of water along with that to allow that gel to work. But then on those even number aid stations, I'm really focusing now on my cooling protocol. So that's going to be cold water poured over my head, over my body, ice under my cap, down my jersey, down my shorts. So it's kind of a focus on nutrition on the first aid station, and then focusing on my cooling on the second. So taking something from every aid station, and then planning them in advance. So there's value in that. I would not suggest just getting up to that aid station and having it be kind of an all-you-can-eat buffet. It's what do I want? Sure, you can do that, but make those decisions prior to that aid station. What do I need? Whenever I see that aid station off in the distance, begin to plan and think about strategically. What do I need? What am I feeling? Am I feeling like I'm getting hot? Am I feeling thirsty? Am I feeling like, am I craving salt? Whatever the case may be, plan that out and then execute as you hit that aid station. All right, the moment you've all been waiting for, the finish line. This is what you've done all the training for. This is what makes Ironman racing special. This is what is going to bring you back again and again. It's this last 50 yards or so where you've put in all the work. You've run 140.5 miles. The crowd is cheering. You're going to hear your name over the loudspeaker. This is going to be amazing. A great thing about the finish line at Ironman Coeur d'Alene, it is literally downhill. So at a certain point, you've done the work. You're going to come up out of the park there. You're going to make this left turn, and it is literally downhill. They've got this great, nice long chute that's going to be lined with spectators and really something special. So clean up and take it all in. So this is where they're going to be taking pictures. That's likely going to be your Instagram profile picture for the next year. So wipe the blood, sweat, the tears, the snot, all of that. And make sure you're looking good. Get rid of the towels and sponges that you've got shoved down your kit. So make it and take it all in. Again, I always say that the race ends when you enter into that finishing chute. So really make sure that you are present and aware of this. Oftentimes, we'll see athletes that have been out on the course walking for the last several hours, and they'll just sprint down this finishing chute. I think that's a huge mistake. We were recently talking to Mike Riley, and he said his pet peeve is that when athletes sprint down this red carpet, you miss an incredible opportunity for an amazing experience. So once you step on that red carpet, just really begin to take it in, slow down, plan your finish, do something fun, find some space as well. So you've been out there, you have done this 140.6 miles all under your own power. So if you're coming in a little bit of a crowd, maybe just hang back a little bit and allow yourself to have that time and experience for yourself. So now, if you've been out there, you ran the last 20 miles with somebody, you've got a new best friend. Yeah, share that experience with them. But don't get stuck behind somebody and miss your finishing photo because you came in right behind somebody else. And then for me, it's all the high fives. There's your support crew, loved ones, random strangers, a bunch of kids out there wanting their high fives. I always kind of feel guilty. I feel like I should hand out some hand sanitizer along with that, but they know what they're in store for. So just really enjoy it. Take it in. This is what your memories are going to be of. This is what's going to bring you back. Don't miss the finish line. Enjoy it as best you can. All right, so that is what I've got. Again, I hope that was beneficial for you. And now I've got about 10 minutes left, and I will get to as many of the questions here as I can. Just a reminder: any questions that I am not able to get to here in the next couple minutes, I will respond to you individually. And again, if anything comes up between now and race day and even beyond, feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to assist in any ways that I can. Shoot me an email. My address is there on the screen. It is john@tribetriathlon.net. So a couple of these questions have been answered. What if I get a flat? I will say it's important that you be self-sufficient in being able to change your own flats. If you don't know how to do that, there's YouTube videos. Pretty much any local bike shop will be glad to show you, maybe a training partner. Your best bet is to carry with you whatever you need to be able to change a flat and be proficient in doing so. There will be support out there on the course, but it's kind of depending on where the support is. Are they working with other athletes? You may end up being out there on the side of the road for a considerable amount of time if you are relying on the support. So hopefully it's not an issue. Hopefully it doesn't happen. If it does, maybe you'll be lucky and the neutral support will be right there and be able to help you out very quickly. But my suggestion would be prepared and be self-sufficient in being able to change that tire. Should I carry all nutrition or take the hand ups? This is really personal preference. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the Gatorade Endurance, so I use my own nutrition on the course. I start off with with a certain amount on my bike, and then I have some backup in my personal needs bag, so I'll grab that out there on the course when I have the opportunity to do so. Now, one thing I will do at every aid station is grab a cold water bottle. So this is going along both with my hydration strategy as well as my cooling strategy. So I always recommend taking a cold water bottle from the aid station. So even if you've got a water bottle, or if you're using the Encore Gatorade, ditch the bottle that you've got and take a cold one. Just again, this is part of the cooling protocol. So what I do with that water bottle is I go through that aid station, I take that hand up, and the first thing I will do is take a big gulp of water and drink that cold water. That's going to help cool my body from the inside. What I will do next is spray my face, spray my kit, get my kit wet, and attempt to cool my body from the outside. So it's both an internal and external cooling protocol. I will then take another big gulp of water off that bottle. And from there, I may ditch it, throw it off in that trash zone. I may store it on the bike. Kind of depends on what it is I've got going. So again, looking to cool both from the inside as well as the outside. But to actually answer the question, it really is personal preference here. They have that Gatorade for you. They have water, they have gels and fruit and that sort of thing at those aid stations. If that works for you, if that's what you've been using, if that is what works for you, then by all means, take advantage of that. But just know in advance, know what your protocol is, and know what is best for you. Should I run a disc wheel? My answer to this question is almost always yes. Now, this course is conceivably a little bit on the bit of a debate side, but I would still say yes, go with it. The exceptions to running the disc wheel are exceptionally windy courses and exceptionally hilly courses, simply because the that disc can be susceptible to movement in the wind. Realistically, the front wheel is going to be much more susceptible to the winds, simply because that front wheel is hinged, whereas that rear wheel is fixed, and you have much less weight sitting over the front wheel than you do the back. So you've got anywhere, you usually give or take somewhere around 30% of your weight over the front wheel, 70% of your weight on that rear wheel. So that rear wheel is much more stable than the front. So as a rule, unless it's just very, very windy, um, wind is not an issue. And then the other consideration is the additional weight. So on a extremely hilly course, you want to really minimize any weight that you can. So that disc wheel is generally going to be more heavy than a traditional wheel. So there is that consideration of carrying that additional weight up all those hills. And at some point, the gravity that is going to be forcing you down the hill is going to even trump the advantages of aerodynamics. You're going to be going fast enough. Gravity on those steep, long hills is going to propel you more than even the aerodynamics. Sure, you'll go a little bit faster if you are very aerodynamic, but again, gravity bringing you down those hills is going to be the main force that is moving you. So I would say this course is not so hilly that the little bit of extra weight that disc wheel is going to weigh is going to be a significant factor on the climbing. So I would say go ahead and run the disc. If you have any apprehensions, this is one where maybe it's not going to make a huge difference. Again, I would say, as opposed to wind resistance, air resistance, which is the main thing that disc wheel is trying to overcome, is going to be less significant than the amount of gravity that you're overcoming on this course. So I would say, if you want to run the disc, run the disc. If not, this is not the course where that disc is going to be hugely advantage, but I don't think it's going to be a big disadvantage either. So really go with kind of personal preference there. All right, down to just a couple minutes here. Um, Personal needs bags. Can you talk more about those? Yeah. So, just kind of as a reminder, refresher, the day before the race, you're going to drop off your bike and your bike and run gear bags. Those are those ones that are going to have your gear packed in them. You're going to grab those, go into that change tent. You're going to repack those bags. When you're done with those, you're going to get that all back after the race. Your personal needs bags are going to come with you on a race morning. You're going to drop those off, and they will have those strategically located out on the bike course and out on the run course. So you will have the opportunity to access those bags. They're obviously in different places on the bike and run course, but you can pack whatever you want in those bags. So think about, what is it that you're going to want, say, halfway through your 100-mile rides. Is there anything that you're wanting or needing? I mentioned I carry my own nutrition, so I know that I've got to make a quick pit stop and grab my backup nutrition, or not some backup, my second half nutrition from that personal needs bag. So that's what I pack in my personal needs for the bike, is my nutrition. So I have enough on the bike for about the first 3 hours. So my next 2 hours I've got in that personal needs bag. Similar for the run, whatever it is that you're going to want. I mentioned having a headlamp or a long sleeve shirt or jacket if you're going to be out there late. Maybe it's a treat. I've done that before. Packed candy in that bag, so just something a little bit different to hit the palate differently, especially if it's got some sugar in it. That's great. Whatever it is that you're going to want to have out there on the run course. The personal needs bags are set up there in the park, so you're going to have that at the beginning of each loop. So you can access the bag only once, but you decide which loop it is. So hopefully it's not that first one, because that park it's like less than a mile from transition. But as you're making that first loop, you can access the bag then, or you can wait until the start of your third loop. But again, you can only access it once. But again, whatever it is that you want to have in that bag, you can pack in the personal needs, and it'll be available for you out there. But again, remember, on those, the personal needs bags are not returned um, to you. So I want to leave you with one final tip, and that is to, in the last days leading into the race, take a little bit of time to express gratitude to your crew, your spouse, your kids, your family situation, whatever that may be, your coach, your coworkers, your training partners, all these people that have enabled you to do this. You guys are in store for an amazing experience. This is going to be something that is very special, very memorable, something you're going to be very proud of. But even though it has been you out there traveling those full 140.6 miles under your own power, oftentimes it takes a village to allow us to do this. And when this race gets tough, as it will, you are likely going to think of those people that have supported you through this time. So take some time in that last week or so to spend just a bit of time to communicate with them and let them know how grateful you are for the role that they have played in enabling you to do this crazy thing called Ironman. And when that race gets hard, when you think of them, you'll be really glad that you took that opportunity to express that gratitude to them. And then out on the course, be grateful as well. Thank the volunteers, thank the law enforcement, thank everyone out there, the spectators that are struggling along with you. So just race with gratitude, and that will really propel you and allow you to have a great experience. So, all that said, thank you for joining us this evening. I hope this has been beneficial for you. I hope this has helped you to have an amazing experience, a great race, produce your best results out there. Again, I want to wish you all the best. I'm excited for you, and I hope all the best. Have an amazing experience. Good luck with the last couple of weeks here of your training and your taper. Go be an Ironman.